Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are going to be talking today about pricing apartments and how to kind of get all of that set up so that you are able to help your sellers or your buyers with seeing kind of what's going on in a building and in the market. So again, the steps to price an apartment are really, it's a pretty simple process as long as you know where the tools are and what you should be looking at. So, the first thing that you want to do is identify your target property and make sure that you know the features of that property, right? You need to know what the outlook is. You need to know what the square footage is or general square footage and floor plan. You want to know kind of where it's located. And the first step that you really want to do is look at comparable apartments in the building, right? New York is a vertical place, and so the easiest place to look for comparables is within the building most of the time. Oftentimes, we then go from the building to the neighborhood, and then from the neighborhood and a little bit further out. What we also need to remember is that you need to adjust for features, right? You might be looking, again, the easiest is in a larger building, maybe, 30 stories or something like that. You're looking at 15A, 7A sold and 20A sold. So you can kind of get a sense of pricing based on that. If nothing is available in the actual building or in the neighborhood, you want to look at the next neighborhood. If you're talking about Soho, you can look in Tribeca. If you're talking about Greenwich Village, maybe the West Village. But really, to get a good sense of pricing, you have to be kind of hyper local. And so it's really important to know about what's going on and what the things are happening in the neighborhood, right? If a building's going up next door, it's probably going to have an impact on what's happening in that building. So think about those things: outlook, views, outdoor space, amenities, doorman, non-doorman, walk up, not walk up, and try to find the closest comparable properties that you can. So again, where is it located? What is the size, and how recently was it renovated? Right. These are the biggest things. Where it's located is important, right? If you're talking about, and I'll use Soho because I'm sitting here right now. If you're talking about an apartment on Broome Street versus Prince Street, that's kind of a different location, right? Broome can get very loud. Prince is a little bit quieter. Even within the same neighborhood, we kind of have to make some adjustments for where it's located, and size is important, right? Layout is important, and how recently it was renovated is probably important too. If you're looking at properties, you don't want to. Sorry, I'm just going to mute this. You don't want to kind of take into account things that don't really correlate, and I think sometimes what we do is we're trying so hard to look within a neighborhood that we miss some of the obvious things. And so that's why knowing the neighborhood is also important. Again, when you're pricing things, it's very important to look at the property types, right? Condos versus co-ops, single families, multifamilies. Again, condo prices are going to be much higher for a number of reasons. A, because they can be sublet, so you have investors that could buy it. B, because there might be, a more recent update to the building and things like that. Look at the size and the floor plan, right? Even within a building, different lines could have very different outlooks. They could have very different layouts, and what someone's calling a one bedroom might not be the same in every line of that building, right? One might be 700 square feet versus one that's 500 square feet, right? And that's going to have a big difference on livability. Look at the amenities, right? Again, if you're looking at a unit in a full service doorman building versus a walk-up building, right? There's going to be a huge discrepancy in the price, even if it's a comparable size. And that's why when we're looking at price per square foot, we have to be kind of careful because, if you say, oh, the average price per square foot in the neighborhood is X, right? Well, that might be different in a walk-up versus a full service building. And that might be different in different things. So Tom is saying Soho might be zoned for more affordable housing. How would you take that into consideration right now? That hasn't gone through, Tom, and the areas where it could be zoned for affordable housing are fairly small. Again, it's really along kind of some of the periphery areas, and so things like that are obviously important. And I would say that more important is what new developments are going in nearby. If there's a lot next to the building and they're going to lose windows, that's something you have to consider. But really, the zoning features will probably actually improve the neighborhood because there'll be more commercial spaces going in. There'll be more things that are happening that could actually bring more, let's say, livability to Soho. So I would say in the end, it's probably going to be a bit of a wash. Okay, so when we're identifying properties, we want to look at a couple different things, right? We want to look at what is on the market right now, right? That gives us a snapshot of what has happened and what is being priced and how it's being priced recently. We also want to look at what's in contract, right? And here in New York, we aren't able to get what the contract price is. The seller's agent should not disclose it, but usually you can kind of get a feel of it. If it was just listed in contract, you're probably at or above the asking price, right? If it was listed for 7 months and then went into contract, there's probably some wiggle room. And I've always had a really good feel from speaking to the agent. Hey, I give them a call and I say, hey, I saw you listed, 22 Prince Street. I saw you into contract quickly. I know you can't disclose the price, but can you let me know how many offers you had, or how it went? Oh, we're at or above the asking price. Oh, we're very close to the asking price. Oh, we took a fairly significant discount because it was X, Y, or Z, right? And so they won't give you a price, but you can at least kind of feel out where it is. We also want to know what has sold in the neighborhood or the building, right? And with the PTA that we do with Weichert, we kind of look at what's happened over the last 6 to 12 months. Again, with this market that we're in right now, sometimes that's a good thing to do, sometimes it's bad. COVID has affected kind of where pricing is ending up. And so, if you see something that went into contract during COVID and there was a steep discount, that might not be the case anymore, right? And for anyone who's active in the current market that we're in, we are seeing things going very quickly right now, right? Multiple offers. I showed a property to a client this weekend. The open house was packed, and they got 3 offers within the first 5 days on the market. So things are going at or above the asking price, right? But we still want to identify what's been happening in the market to kind of extrapolate out what is going on with pricing. So there's a couple places that we can go to for data, right? And the first is in OLR. So if you log into OLR, under reports, you have a tab for closed sales, right? And I'm going to show you this live. We just wanted to kind of do screenshots. So you go into reports, closed sales. When you click on it, it's going to bring up this map, and you can put into different areas and different time frames to try to get a sense of what's going on in the neighborhood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of this for a minute. I'm going to go into OLR, right? I'm going to go search, reports, closed sales. And this is where we can pull out closed sales within a building or a neighborhood. And what I'm going to do is, let's see, what should I use? I'm going to use a property that I have in contract right now, right? Just to show you. So I'm going to put in 140 Charles, right? And I want to see what's sold over the last 12 months. And I'm going to leave everything else blank. So I'm going to hit search. What this is going to show is what's sold, right? So 12D, a 1-bedroom, sold for asking 1,475, sold for 1.35, 20 weeks on the market. Again, 20 weeks, there was a fairly significant $125,000 discount. I can click here. It's going to open up the listing so I can kind of see condition, outlook, and things like that. Right? Nice little terrace, sweeping views. You're on the 10th floor, good sized bedroom. Let's look at the floor plan. Here you go, terrace, nice. Ceiling height, 8.2, a little bit lower ceiling, right? Taxes, common charges, we get a sense of that. So there you go, right? You can get some information on things that have closed, right? And let's say then I'm looking to price an apartment at 140 Charles. Well, what do I need to do here? I need to expand this search to the West Village. Oops, it's West. West Greenford. There we go, right? So now it's going to expand to the neighborhood, and I'm going to hit search again. Well, here we go. 245 properties were sold, in the West Village over the last 12 months, right? And so that's too much data. We really want to kind of find somewhere between, 12 is ideal, but 6 and 12 properties, I would say, that have sold fairly recently to get a better sense. So I want to refine this down. And so what can we do, right? So there's a little button here on the right. Well, okay, here we go. First of all, it's a 1-bedroom, one bath. So let's say I want to look for as comparable of a property as possible. And let's do a search again. Okay, 62. So we've gone from 400 or 245 to 62. So we're getting a little bit better. Now, again, because I'm looking at 140 Charles, I know it's a condo and it's an attended lobby, right? So let's see what that does. 5. Very, very reasonable number, right? And so when we look at these, 302 West 12th, 366 West 11th, again, we can see they're all generally in the same area, which is a good thing. 299 West 12th, again, we can get a sense of what these sold for. 13, 12, 13, 19, 15. Again, we can look through the property, get a sense of it, and kind of go from there, right? And so this is a great way to start pulling data on things that have sold in the building. If we want to see things that are in contract or active, then we just want to do a general OLR search, right? So I'm going to go to search listings, Manhattan, sales, right? West Village. Do a general price point. So, I know that this one that I have is asking 1.5. So let's do 1.2 to 1.75. It's a 1 bedroom. I'm going to exclude professional spaces. It's a condo with an attended lobby, right? And so let's keep it as general as possible, and let's see what's on the market right now. 2, right? 421 Hudson and 366 West 11th. Okay, so that might be a little too small. So let's just keep it under. Let's keep condos. Let's take off. Let's do elevator only instead. And let's see what we come up there. Okay, so 4. So now we've got 4 properties, right? 130 Barrow is a pretty good comp. 130 Barrow and the other 2 that we had from before, right? So now we're kind of feeling this out. We're getting a sense of what's on the market, because that's going to be important when we go and actually put together the PTA. And if we want to see things that are in contract, we kind of do a similar search, right? So I'm going to go back to the search page, West Village. What I'm going to do is where it says show listings from, I'm going to switch this up to 360, right? So we see things within the last year. And under status, I'm going to play around, right? So I'm going to take off active, accepted offer, and contract out. And let's just see what has a contract signed right now. 6, right? So 130 Barrow Street, penthouse 17, outdoor space, West Village, nice area. This was a good apartment. I sent this to my client as well. 1.7, and this went into contract within 2 weeks. So that's great. 140 Charles 14A, right? This is the one that my client's actually buying, contract signed. 140 Charles 7C, contract signed. 130 Barrow, 164 Bank, 164 Bank, right? So a lot of these comparable properties have gone into contract recently. So here we have, and again, I would say most of these, and again, this is just from my market knowledge, a lot of these, went into contract very quickly. So the pricing is probably fairly reasonable compared to what they're asking. So we can use that data as well. The other thing is we can also, again, click in here on sold. And very similar to what we did with the closed sales data, we can see what's sold. Now in New York City, to go from a sold property into something that's going to show up on OLR as a closed sale usually takes about 3 months, right? So from the closing date till it's recorded, and the recorded price is important because that's what we know is the official price recorded by the city. So it's important to know that a lot of these properties might have closed, but we don't have the data. And so again, let's say it's this one, right? Let's say it's the 13th Street. This isn't coming up on my search when I look on closed sales. I can call John and say, hey, I saw you closed here. Just want to get a sense of what your closing price was, right? And 9 times out of 10, they will tell you. Sometimes the broker's like, I don't want to tell you, why are you calling me, yada, yada. But most of the time people are nice because, again, we are collaborative in what we do together. So these are the steps that we're going to need to take to look at what's on the market, what's closed, and what is active on the market, right? So we can do all of this through OLR. So, okay, I'm going to go back to the presentation. OLR has another feature, which is a CMA market report, right? And so what that does is it kind of goes through and pulls properties and things like that and helps you price out what is going on based on their kind of data in the back end of the system, right? So you can kind of have them help you do it. The CMA through OLR is relatively good, but I always kind of double check it. And that's why we have Urbandigs, which also has great data. And we have Weikert's PTA that we can do. But again, I'm just going to go back into OLR, right? And if I go under reports, CMA reports, what I can do is, and again, I have some that I've done, but let's create a new CMA report. Right, so you can put in the information on the seller if you want to, or your client. I'm just going to leave it blank. Oop, I got to put a name. I'm just going to put me. Great. Okay, so apartment for sale. So address, let's say it's 140 Charles. Right, and it's going to pop up so you can see what it is. Leave the apartment number blank. Leave all this blank. It wants the apartment number. 14A. It's going to upload photos and things like that. Again, this is going to actually create a report that you can share with people. So I'm going to search for comps, right? And what it's going to do is bring me up to the exact same building that I had before, right? And it's going to tell me everything that's sold at 140 Charles over the last few years. And I hit similar buildings, so it's going to bring up places that are not only at 140 Charles. So let's do West Greenwich Village. I spelled that wrong. And again, we're going to do 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Oops, bedrooms, 1. We don't want studios. Again, we want to keep it as comparable as possible. You know, the pricing between 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms it tends to be a little bit different. Condo, attended, elevator. Oops, I'm going to uncheck that. Okay, let's do this. Date range, let's say we want the last 6 months. Right, so here we go. This one closed. This, oh, sorry, these two are in contract. Let's use those. What is it? O means off market. Let's not use that one. Sold, active, sold, off market, active. Okay, let's use these. We're going to view the comparables. Here's all the information. And again, if we need to change it, right? Oh, this one was actually, you know, 1.2 million. Oops, I just messed that up. 1, 2, right? So we can change that. They increase the price, right? And so you can edit these things for how, you know, different what the condition is based on the photos and things like that. I'm gonna hit prepare this report to be published. And this is going to do kind of all the back end legwork for you, right? And this is one way of kind of pricing. And we're going to talk about 3 different ways of pricing, right? And that's the great thing. We have options. So I can preview this and right, it's going to have all these different pages and I can click through and it's going to create a report that I can then export and give to a client, right? So here you go. So this is a CMA prepared by me. And again, anything in here you want to edit. Let's say this is for Rebecca Fu. I'm preparing it. I can save it. Right now it's going to save that. Cover letter. And again, any of these, let's say you don't want a cover letter. Uncheck it. It's not going to put it in there. Introduction. You can talk about yourself. Company info. You can put whatever you want. Bio. It's going to pull it from OLR. Subject property. Neighborhood profile. Yeah, it's not at that. Neighborhood stats. Great. Building profile. Great. Active. In contract. Sold. Opinion letter. Right. And it's going to say what the average one was. And you can put in your recommended. Save it. Right, and then I'm gonna save and close. And I'm gonna generate it. Right, and so this puts to, oops, it's downloading. A minute. Do it, not do it. There we go, downloaded it. So I've got a PTA, or sorry, a CMA with my bio, with the property, with some information, stuff on the market, in contract, sold, my pricing analysis, right? So this is a great way you can automatically comp something very, very easily through OLR. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the slides. Okay, so Urbandigs. Urbandigs is, I think, the most powerful data tool that we have here in New York City. And for now, Urbandigs works for Manhattan and parts of Brooklyn, right? Manhattan and parts of Brooklyn. It's not expanded out into Queens yet, or Staten Island or the Bronx. You'll have to use different tools for that. You know, you can use OLR. They have all 5 boroughs covered. Urbandigs is really for Manhattan and Brooklyn. You guys all get a free 2-week trial of Urbandigs with your Weichert account. If you're using it and need a full suite of it, let me know and I can help you and get you one. So I'm going to log into Urbandigs, right? And there are different things that you can do in here. So number 1 here, you can run comps and price a unit. And number 2, you can do a CMA, right? So there's 2 buttons here on the home page when you log in where you can do this. So let's go to price unit. I'm gonna do the same thing. 140 Charles, it's gonna pick it up. 14A, hit next. So here we go, that's the target unit, right? We can see suggested comps from inside the building. It's gonna pull those and what's sold. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Let's say we wanna select this one. We wanna select this one. We wanna select 3A and this one, right? And we can choose from outside the building. And again, the same thing, it's gonna pull up buildings. Again, they're a little wider, right? This is looking at something in Chelsea. This is in Nolita, you know, Charles is Chelsea, let's pick that one. Oh, sorry, in the West Village. You know, these ones are a little bit further out. So if you know a comp, you can do that. The next step here is to make adjustments, right? So let's say renovation adjustment, right? We want to put minus 50,000 because it needed work. This one, we want to say, you know, it's in much better condition. So let's add 80,000, right? And these are things that you can do on your own to help adjust it, right? And this is almost like we're acting as an appraiser because we're giving what our view of the property is and kind of what's going on there. So once you get here, it's going to give you a suggested price range, right? Like what things have sold for in the building, what's going on, right? And we can hit export PDF and it's going to download this whole thing for you to give a comparable sale report, right? And it's not to say this is always 100% accurate because the market could be going up, the market could be going sideways. Again, based on what's happening, you've got to kind of tweak these numbers, but you can adjust all these things. You can adjust the market, right? This is 11 years ago, the market was better. 8 years ago, it was we're better than 11 years ago. It's worse than 8 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and stuff like that. So these are things, and again, it's going to generate a report for you, right? A really nice report that you have. It's going to be branded to you with your contact information and have everything on here, right? So these are ways that you can kind of price, right? Based on the average monthlies, price per square foot, overall price and size, and things like that. So you can get a sense of where it's going to be. The other thing you can do is also, I'm gonna go back to Urbandigs. You can also go to CMA, right? And very similar, we can do the exact same thing. Right, this is going to look at all 1-bedroom condos currently for sale in the West Village, right? So let's pick some, right? Let's say this one looks comparable. This one looks comparable. And again, this is saying with outdoor space, with doorman, 4th floor above, 24th floor below, right? So let's look at in contract ones, right? We know this is in contract, in contract. There you go. Let me see these price. Oh, this one's probably too expensive. Take that off. Closed, right? 12D, closed for 1.35. Let's pick these ones. See what else. Again, you can kind of look through these and figure out what's good. And off market. This one came off the market. This one was $2 million for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. If you click on them, you can actually see the whole property. So let's pick those. And I'm going to export PDF, right? Additional property type, who's it for? Let's say this is for Rebecca. full layout with pictures, hit download, right? And it's going to auto generate this great report for you. Hopefully. Give it a minute with my slow internet here. And again, the nice thing is it gives you a little snapshot, right? Average price per square foot, sold price per square foot, off market, in contract price per square foot, to get a sense of what's going on in that neighborhood, right? Even this, right? You can screenshot this and just share this with your clients, right? Or you can share this on a market report that you're sending out to people in a certain neighborhood. There we go. Right, and so again, it has that. It's giving you for sale listings, in contract listings, sold listings, and off-market listings, right? Just to give you a snapshot of what's happening, right? So you can use these reports either when you have someone looking to put in an offer to help them justify whatever the offering price they're looking for is, or when you're trying to get a listing, right? It works for both of those things. So there are many times that we'll kind of want to run some of these reports. And it's really just a sense of getting a snapshot of the market and what's going on. I'm gonna go back to the presentation now. I think the next slides are basically what I just did. So again, CMA report, pricing tool, right? And the last thing that we have is the Weichert price trend analysis, right? And so this is a tool that we have that you will use the data from OLR and Urbandigs and plug it into this Excel file, and it will help you give a sense of what's happening with the market, right? And so this takes a little bit longer, but it's a really nice way of getting a general range of pricing. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of one of these, right? And I'm going to do this for a property that I sold a couple of years ago in Soho, but that I have one filled out for. Let me just open it up. Okay, ooh, that's not one. Okay. So this is the PTA, right? And this is an Excel file which is available online on the Weichert Properties Dropbox. And if you can't find it, I'll send one out with this, a blank one. And again, you need to open it up in Excel. That's the biggest thing, because it doesn't work that well if you try to open in something else because of all the built-in formulas and things like that, right? So what do we do here, right? You put in your property, town, information gathered as of, and it's going to be today, prepared by, you put your name in, right? And what we do is we're looking for 12 properties. We want ones that sold about 12 months ago. We want ones that sold about 6 months ago. We want ones that sold or that are under contract right now. And we want some active listings, right? And so what we do is we go through, and again, you can use OLR, Urbandigs, Street Easy even to find these comparable properties, right? And a lot of this is you figuring out what's comparable. And again, comparable means similar property type, condo co-op, or single family or multifamily. Comparable location, same building, a couple buildings over, same neighborhood. Hopefully, again, if you look at this one for, and again, I did this a little while ago, but for a property in Soho, right? All of these addresses are in Soho. I was able to find enough things that were either on the market or off the market or sold or in contract in Soho to do this. So again, you fill out all this information. All you need is the address, the price, and the days on market, right? And again, oftentimes OLR gives you weeks on market. You just multiply it by 7. So down here, what you want to do is look in for all the listings active in that area and put the number of days on market. And again, active is within a general spread. This one, I think we were looking to price around 3 million. So I did a search from 2.5 to 3.5 million, right? Something within a general thing. If you're looking at a $800,000 apartment from 750 to 850, right? If you don't find enough, maybe expand the search a little bit. You're going to put into these boxes just how many days everything was on the market, right? And all it is just the number of days on market. How many pending sales in the last 30 days, right? And again, you can do that search in OLR very easily. Again, I'm going to go back here, going to do search listings, Manhattan, sales. And again, let's just say I was doing it for this one, Soho, from 2.5 million, 3.5 million. And I want to see contracts signed from the last 30 days. Let's see. 21. So look at that. 21 contracts were signed between 2.5 and $3.5 million in Soho. That's pretty incredible. Lots happening on the market. So again, you can pick comps. Again, this was a loft. So here you go. This is a good comp. This is a good comp. This is, no, it's not, you know, these are, you know, this one I was pricing was a loft. These are all, you know, full service elevator buildings, which I might have checked off. Keyed elevator, that one's good. Charlton, new development. This one's elevator building. That one's probably a good one, right? So we can kind of price out these different properties. So once you put all that data in, it's going to say and give you a price guide, right? So based on the data, right, it's going to pull. There's like a back end system that does this. It's going to price this for you, right? So the suggested price based on everything that I put in there was between 2.963 and $3.074 million, right? And then it's going to create this one page that you can print, and it's going to pull everything that you put in there, what happened in the past, the recent past, today, and in the future. It's going to, you put in how many active listings, pending sales, average days on market. And again, list price, this is where you can, based on all of your analysis, come up with the list price. And in our case, we put it at, I think, 2.99, or I think 2.995 is what we priced it at, and we got a little bit under that. So that's how you do it, right? It's a pretty nice, easy, simple way to start pricing things, right? And again, what this comes up with, you kind of want to check it versus other data. Again, data can come from a bunch of sources, from OLR, StreetEasy, Zillow, you know, especially for things that are closed or off contract, from Acris, which is the New York site. Again, those are all kind of free. You can sign up for. From Urbandigs, it's a great way to get the data. So, so yeah, so kind of my thing is, let's practice, right? And so I would love for you guys, and again, I'm just giving you a sample target to figure out how to price it, but this is a unit 138 Broadway 6E that would be great for us to kind of just go through the steps and see about pricing, right? So do you guys have a preference? Would you like me to use Urbandigs or OLR? Whoever says it first, I'll do it. Anyone? No? No one has a preference? Urbandigs. Okay. So Lynn, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go to Urbandigs. Again, let me go to the home page. You can see how to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go to price unit. Right? I'm going to put 138 Broadway, unit 6E. Next. So off market, monthly is 909, 1,800 square feet, right? So first it's going to look in the building. So 5E was on the market for 21 days and sold. Got some in the building. They actually bought it and sold it right away. 2Gs in the building. So let's pick some from outside the building, right? We're going to look at stuff within about a year. 440 Kent, 1,200 square feet, 1,200. These are a lot smaller, but let's pick 170 Broadway. Let's pick 83 North 3rd, and let's make adjustments, right? And so again, I'll show you what the property looks like. Again, this is something that I sold to the owner. He has it as an investment property. Let's go to rented. Penthouse E. So look, beautiful building. Nice 3-bedroom. Here's a floor plan, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Great. Very high ceilings. It has like 12-foot ceilings in the living room and stuff like that. So they're very high. So, okay, let's go back here. So 3E, right? So I'm going to click on the listing. I can see what it looks like, and I can look at the floor plans. I can look at the things. So right here, it has like 10-foot ceilings. So I know that I can adjust for the ceiling, right? And it's 2 floors up from 3E. Same floor plan, same layout, but higher floor, better views. You actually get views of Manhattan, which you don't get from 3E. So I'm going to go back in here. let's see what they did, right? So market adjustment, they've made those for us, views adjustment. I'm actually going to make this to make this bigger because the views are way better in this one. In 5E, I'll make it, let's say, 50,000. This one, let's make it a little more. It's on the 3rd floor, so we're at a lot higher floor. Okay, size adjustment, right? It made it in here for us. Other adjustments. Let's again, in the building, let's say we're gonna make a ceiling height adjustment. So let's do 25,000 for that, right? And these are kind of arbitrary numbers that you kind of come up with. Because none of these have as big of a as high of a ceiling, right? And so what this is doing is it's giving you a general price point, right? And so again, once we're done, I can hit export the PDF. And this is kind of the rational side of pricing an apartment, right? And we always have to think about that. There's a rational side and there is and I don't want to say irrational, but there's an emotional side to pricing, right? And having been in 3E, in 5E, and in 6E, they're very different apartments. And I know that because I've seen them, right? And that's why market knowledge and data is so important. So I know that you have to kind of adjust the price more. And based on this, you know, the comp price is saying between 2 and 2.5 million, right? You know, from my knowledge of the neighborhood and the market, this is probably would go within the first week if we priced it at 2.7 million, right? Because it is such a unique apartment. There's no one above you. You've got this crazy high ceilings. The views are spectacular for Brooklyn, and especially kind of this part of the heart of Williamsburg. So again, I would probably price it a little bit higher, right? They're saying between 2.3 and 2.5. I would probably price it at 2.7 because again, having seen these, knowing this apartment. So this data is important because you can show that. And then you can also, again, make adjustments based on these differences and things like that. So it's important to keep that in mind as well, right? None of these pricing tools are perfect. A lot of it comes down to broker intuition, what you know about the market. You know, again, you know, maybe in a building, you know, floors, you know, the 1st floor through the 10th floor, you're looking directly at another building and that building's not going anywhere. Once you hit floor 11 or 12, you're getting these like crazy views of the water, right? That's going to make a huge difference. And this views adjustment might not actually compensate for that enough. And so you have to know, hey, you've got $1 million views that you don't get in this neighborhood. Let's price this a little bit higher. And what the number is to adjust that, it's kind of arbitrary and it's on you. But you know, it's important to know how we can kind of find out market information to substantiate, right? And this information can also be helpful if, let's say, you price something and it's a little bit too high, or if a seller's price it too high and your guy wants to come in lower, you can use this to be like, listen, these are the comps we pulled. What did you pull? Show me your data. What did you come up with, listing agent or seller's agent? Because it's important to figure out kind of where that is and where their expectations of price came from. Okay, so with that, that's it from me. I would love to take any questions that you guys have about, you know, pricing tools or the CMA and how to do this. But you know, it's really something you just need to play with a little bit. But once you do it, it gets easier and easier to do. And you know, a lot of it is, you know, I can at this point, and you guys will all get to this point. I can walk into an apartment if I know the neighborhood, and generally have a price range within, you know, let's say 10% of where it should be, right? So I went with Julie on a listing presentation, and we kind of had an idea of what the pricing should be. They had an idea of what they wanted to sell it for. And I think we went in, you know, the range was basically between like $2 and $2.2 million, right? And that's a pretty reasonable range to be within, you know, within 10%. And it's just a matter of, you know, how quickly someone wants to sell, you know, really what their expectations of the market are, what's happening on the market, right? Again, if you look in Williamsburg right now, things are flying off the shelf, right? At the listing prices. And so, you know, I have a client looking in Williamsburg for 1 bedroom, you know, very few buildings that have much available right now. Those that come on go into contract with a week. So you can probably be a little more aggressive with your pricing because someone will pay that number to find a home. Whereas if you're looking, you know, for a, you know, $500 million or sorry, 50 million, sorry, $5 million apartment on the Upper West Side, there are fewer buyers, so they're not flying off the shelves as much. So, you know, a lot of it just has to do with inventory. It has to do with how quickly the market's moving, and things like that. And again, Urbandigs is great because you can not only look up, you know, what's happening in the building, pricing and things like that, but, you know, we can go to Brooklyn, we can go to Williamsburg, we can look at, let's say, condos, 3 bedrooms plus, right? And we can get a general price, how many have closed, right? We're up the number of closings and the price per square foot. And again, the same thing for Manhattan. Let's say we're talking about that West Village apartment. One bedroom condo, right? 7 sales, right? So half, there's basically 2 months of inventory, right? If we look at the market pulse, right? Pending active to supply ratio, it's 0.5, right? So things are going, right? We've got 2 months of inventory on the market, 3 months on the market average and things like that. Again, if we look at resales versus new developments, right? Oh, sorry, this defaulted back to Manhattan wide, so just make sure you click on it again. So you can get all this great data. Average price per square foot. And again, price per square foot is a little misleading, right? Because when you look at really small apartments, the price per square foot can be higher because obviously you need a bedroom, a bathroom, or a bedroom, a living space, and a kitchen. And there's a price for that. And then as you get bigger, sometimes the price per square foot goes up if it's got a bunch of bedrooms. Sometimes in like a loft, it might go down. And so it's tricky sometimes just to look at price per square foot. And that's why really looking at comps and what's going on in the market is so important. So thank you guys. With that, I'm going to stop the video recording. Thank you for coming.